Good morning, video games. Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games hosted by two very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Tommy Daslow, and with me, as per usual,
it's the dread Captain Ben Vanel, sailing the high seas of Hawaii.
Yes, yes. Big new release game to talk about this week.
Oh, yeah.
Very excited to get into it. But we've got some other stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
It's a beautiful day outside.
Yep.
Conditions
really
are
is.
perfect to sit inside and talk about video games. I've come straight from a doctor's appointment.
Mm-hmm. I'm going straight to one.
Really?
No.
Oh. Quite costly appointment. Didn't really feel like I got very satisfying answers.
No.
But what I did do just to get my money's worth was absolutely wreck the toilet in the waiting room.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Cause some diseases for other people.
Like, should I do this at Ben's or should I do this here? And I was no, you know what?
Yeah.
$250 down the drain for like not even a really proper diagnosis.
I better
of what's
use that
on.
fucking drain.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my money's worth out of this.
Oh, God.
There are parts of the world where you have to pay to use a public toilet.
Absolutely.
So that's just kind of what I feel like I did.
Yeah.
Money well spent.
Well, was it 200? Imagine, like, I think it's Germany has a lot of public toilets. Like, they've got, and actually, they do in some countries as well have premium toilets. I think Japan has premium toilets.
Oh, yeah, sure.
If there's like, you get the full spectrum of toilet. It's like, what are you going to get for $250? You better get something. You better get someone wipe for you.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, that is a lot.
Yeah.
You would want the toilet made out of solid gold.
Oh, yeah,
that our friend Austin Powers
Yes.
famously coveted.
Yeah. That's probably it, right?
That's probably it.
And a bidet.
Yeah. I mean, I think they will be using probably minimum $300 worth of domestos to...
Okay, so you made a profit.
Exactly.
In a way.
Yeah. I'm on top of the world right now.
Yeah, okay.
But I'll tell you who's not on top of the world. The good people in there at Warner Brothers.
Yeah. I mean, the fucking suits are probably on top of the world.
Yeah.
Eating their caviar, drinking their champagne.
Swinging their axe.
Oh, yeah. Well, their gold-plated axe.
Yep.
Because, several developers have been cut, including Monolith.
Yep.
Monolith was the one I was the most familiar with. I think the other two were mobile games.
Is Monolith the studio that made Multiverses? Because I think that studio is gone.
I think it was one of the other ones.
Right, okay.
I think one of them was Multiverses, one of them was mobile sort of stuff. But yeah, Monolith, which they have not, I believe, released a game in a long time. They at least haven't released a follow-up to the Shadow of War series, the Middle-earth Shadow of War series, which I really, really enjoyed. It was an open-world game right in the pocket of a glut of them, but it had this really cool mechanic. So the game was like...
Andy Kaufman from Taxi?
That's right. You know what I found out?
Has that one ever come up on here before? Because I think we say the phrase cool mechanic a lot.
I think that I have decided not to make that joke before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I remember when we talk about Mario games and the mechanics in them, I always want to say, no, they're plumbers.
Oh, yeah. And you think that's the same as what I said?
Look, it's in the same ballpark.
Interesting. That's interesting.
It's on the spectrum.
Yeah, it's in the same ballpark, but mine's on the diamond. Yours is in the fucking nosebleeds, brother.
It's over the fence. It's a home run. I wanted to save on to that home run for when I really needed it.
Well, here's your hall pass. Yeah? You can have sex with me. Next time we talk Mario, and you have to imagine it's not going to be too long.
Yeah.
But I give you full license. You can make your little plumber mechanic joke.
Yeah.
And you will get no pushback from me whatsoever.
Okay, will I get a laugh?
You'll get a laugh.
Okay.
I'll pick you up in the chair
Ooh,
that you're in, and I'll kind of carry you around the room for a little bit. Yeah.
Finally, I'll become a man.
Yeah, exactly. For having the stones to make that joke in front of me.
Well, I deserve it. So they had a very cool mechanic. That was the thing I was going to say about Andy Kaufman. Do you ever remember watching Letterman? He would always talk about his Dr. Vinnie Boom Butts.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a character Andy Kaufman played in like Rodney Dangerfield sketches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So that's like us going, what? Like me saying I was just at the doctor. My doctor, I don't know, Dr. Lovejoy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, that's the Reverend. Dr. Hibbert.
But look, both work, honestly.
Yeah.
Dr. Viddy Bombats. What a name. Cool Mechanic in the Shadow of War series.
Yes.
Was your goal. It was kind of like there was a story, like a single player narrative, and you would sort of go through areas and unlock areas as the quest progressed and shit. But the whole time, there was this sort of rank and file of the orc army. And the kind of goal, there was sort of a little progression through that as well, often of like, oh, you got to beat this big boss, but you can only get to him by beating these other guys who kind of like tell everyone that you're a badass. And so the boss wants to give you a little going over. But often after you would beat one of those little bosses, you'd be going about your day doing a different quest, and he'd just kind of rock up out of nowhere, and he's like gained 5 levels, and he's like, you took me down last week, I'm come back to get revenge.
Yeah, sick.
And like if you'd like cut off his arm, he'd come back with like a prosthetic arm, or he'd have an eye patch, or that kind of shit.
Been to therapy.
That's right, yeah. I've grown a lot since the last time.
Yeah.
We should become friends. We should work together. But it was like, it wasn't just like them being like, I remember you. It was like, they would adapt based on the gameplay that, had come before.
Not just a scripted thing of like you're fighting them again. Like it's all,
Yeah, it was like, I think machine learning is what they call it. It's not quite like AI and it's not an algorithm. It's like, it's going to adapt based on the stuff it's encountered. And it was great. It added a lot to those games that made them more interesting than just a run-of-the-mill like Assassin's Creed style open world game. And that is patented by, I guess, Warner Brothers.
Sure.
Like the top level, their legal department sort of put that into action. But it's patented for Monolith to use and develop games with. They're gone. They've all been sacked. I think a lot of people who were there around the time of those games coming out had sort of left anyway, because there hasn't been a follow-up for like 11 years or something.
Yep.
But that technology, very specific technology, I guess, is now unable to be used by anyone. That idea
that
is off the table.
Because it's patented, and that sucks.
They can sue them. They can take them to court.
Because also as part of this, there was a Wonder Woman game in development that's been axed. I don't know how far along it was.
Well,
but
I did see a couple of journalists had seen some like alpha footage or played it and were like, or maybe other developers were like, oh yeah, it's great. It's this beautiful, big, expansive game. It looks wonderful, pun intended. And it's gone. It was meant to come out within the next sort of 12 to 24 months.
No one loves axing stuff or putting it on the shelf more than our friends over at WB.
They really have a hard on for just being like, nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Yep.
You're not even going to get to see it.
I will say, this is not video games related, but but one...
Is it related to Andy Kaufman?
I think you could probably... I'd imagine you can somehow draw a line between this
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
There's a Looney Tunes movie that is out here in Australia on, I think, March 27, in time for the school holidays.
Ooh.
And it sat on the shelf in there for a very long time.
Right.
And ended up, I think, having to be picked up by a separate distributor.
Right.
So it's somehow seen the light of day. I've seen it. I've seen a preview copy of it.
Is this the
day the Earth blew up?
Yes.
Really recommend it. Very funny Looney Tunes movie. Get around it if you've got kids. It's out here in Australia for the March school holidays. Really funny and fun film. Would be great to see it do well. Yeah. To show the people who have ended up getting it and distributing it that it is like worth having put out. Yeah. It's somehow escaped the axe of Warner Brothers, even though they tried. It was all done. It had been on at some festivals. People were really positive about it, and they were like, not sure if it's worth releasing. Not sure if it's worth releasing a movie with some of the most famous cartoon characters of all time in it.
That's already been made, completed.
It's already done.
Paid for,
and is good.
Yeah. Because what was the previous one? Was the Wile E. Coyote one, right?
The Coyote one. Yeah. The Coyote one that apparently is awesome. Yeah. We're never going to see it in the light of day.
They were copyright striking the making of footage that the people who worked on it put on YouTube of their own volition.
Yep.
Fucking crazy. The Batgirl movie.
Yep.
Also got made, and then they were like, Where tax. It's tax.
Well, that was the first one that they kind of that was like the first big one that made headlines that they'd shelved. And I guess with that, the story also was that it was testing very badly.
Right.
But it still did also seem crazy when you go, but you own a streaming platform. Like, okay, maybe it's not worth the finance of it to put it into cinemas and spend the marketing budget and everything.
Yeah.
But you've got a service that you can just put it onto.
Yeah.
So that some people want to see it.
Exactly. And even if it's not a broadly appealing film, so many films get, pick up steam on streaming.
Yeah.
And they used to on DVD back in the day.
Some people might subscribe just to watch it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So they got away with that one. But yeah, again, at least the narrative of that was like, apparently it's quite bad.
Right.
And so you could be like, all right, well, that sucks, but I guess we've just been spared from another bad comic book movie.
Yeah.
But then this Coyote film, people are like, no, it's genuinely great.
Yeah.
I don't get why they would spend the money on making it and everything and then just not put it out.
And it's taken them another film to realize, like, oh, we could just sell it to someone.
Yeah.
And then, because, like, maybe, like, Batgirl, it could be we don't want to take a hit on our reputation while we're trying to, like,
Right.
I feel like the Batman would have been under the WB banner and that had done quite well.
Yep.
But we don't want to release, like you say, another shit comic book movie in a litany of others. But then, if the movie is good, it may not be a huge, broad, mainstream success. But if it's a fun, weird Coyote animated film, fucking put it on Max.
Yeah, I wonder if, like, hopefully this other Looney Tunes movie that's all animated, maybe if it does well, they might. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to see it.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't even care.
I'll pay.
I would love it to just leak. Like, I just want to see it.
Yeah.
Apparently there was they had like a screening of it, I think in LA, like a sort of like a funeral screening of it, basically for like people that worked on it.
Oh,
that's
sure.
Like, hey, this is never going to see the light of day, but why don't we all just get together in a room and watch our handiwork?
Yeah.
Yeah, bummer thing. But anyway, yeah.
To be a fly on the wall.
To be a little crazy duck bouncing around the walls.
To be a painted hole on the wall.
Go see The Day the Earth Blew Up.
Yeah.
In cinemas here in the March School holidays.
That's right.
There'd be a link between the Looney Tunes and Andy Kaufman somehow.
For sure.
Somewhere back in the day.
He would have like worked with Mel Blanc or something,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, real shame for obviously, as it comes up nearly every week on this show, all the people that worked at those studios.
Yeah.
But then it goes a bit further than that. If there's like a cool patent, cool piece of tech.
Yeah, and I saw some like not pushback, but some explanation from like lawyers being like, patents are very specific, and so it comes down to like real like lines of code and stuff that you can't use. So you could potentially like use the idea or develop it yourself from scratch, but then other people sort of have pointed out like if it's similar enough, they will just sue you, and it will be not worth your while to go up against Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
So you'll just have to back down. So and that is just another layer of how shit it is having big old corporations around pushing the little guy around.
It's the perfect combination of like it seems quite shit to work in the video games industry anyway. Plus then when you've got a huge corporation like Warner Brothers getting in the mix as well. So that's a bummer. There is a bit of
good news.
There's a bit of good news.
Okay.
Yep. Do you remember the Samurai Pizza Cats?
Yes, I do.
They're back, baby.
Oh, okay. This is one of the few nostalgia plays that I am into.
It's a kind of a weird one because, like, I think everyone of our age, we remember the Samurai Pizza Cats, but it's not a thing that you ever really hear about people. It's not. I don't think it's on anywhere.
Right.
Like I never hear of people like.
There's never been a revival, as far as I know. Yeah.
Like with the Ninja Turtles and stuff, people would always be like, "Hey, I've introduced my kids." Like they've kind of stayed fairly consistent.
Absolutely. They released like a new animated series. There was like that live action show on Cheese TV back in the day. Like there's been and like the movies. There's one out like every 3 years. It feels like.
Whereas if you all of a sudden were like, I want to really get back into Samurai Pizza Cats, is it on anywhere? anything? Like, I don't even know where you would go to watch it.
No, I imagine a 360p YouTube
Yeah, maybe.
upload.
But there's
Because
a...
they were like the rip-off Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like,
Kinda.
Yeah.
And I kind of always thought it was one of those things where, sort of similar to the Power Rangers, where they'd like... I could be wrong about this, but like... bought it and dubbed it into English, but really taken some liberties with it. They weren't doing like a one-for-one. I think it maybe had like a different... I could be completely wrong about that, but I had gotten the impression that it was changed a fair bit from what it was in Japan. But
Yeah,
in
right.
any case, they are back.
Yeah.
The new game coming out, it looks cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like a pixel arty thing. It's not. It's very like hand-drawn animation style. Looks like a bit of 2D side-scrolling stuff, and then a bit of kind of isometric top-down stuff.
Yeah.
It looks fun.
Yeah, I'm into this. And
I'm excited to check this out.
Their style was like, the visual style was so cool, and like, I mean, again, very Ninja Turtles-y, but like every character having their color scheme and all of that stuff. It's also like distinctive, and the silhouettes are so unique. I was a big fan of that show. I mean, I loved Ninja Turtles too, but I guess I was a fucking weeb from 5 years old.
It's so common, isn't it? Being you're a little weeb, and there's just some stuff that visually you liked it a little bit more, and you didn't quite know what it was.
I know. I mean, I think samurai over ninjas, maybe. Mm-hmm. I do love a samurai. I've been watching Shogun.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you about that another time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm keen for it. So yeah, I didn't get heaps. I saw the side-scrolling stuff, so like beat 'em uppy sort of stuff.
Yeah, more like platformer kind of stuff. I think. Yeah.
Well, I'll fucking play it.
I'll play the shit out of it.
I'll eat up my little slop.
Maybe I'll do a big catch up and chuck on some of those 360p YouTube videos just to reacquaint myself.
I'm keen. If there's like a box set or something. I'm down. We can do a whole special zone about Samurai Pizza Cats.
Yeah, this could be the start of the SPC revival.
Yeah.
Maybe this will end in some like, that Ninja Turtles movie that I think Michael Bay made, where they're kind of like, they've kind of tried to make them look a bit too realistic.
Yes. Yeah.
They're a bit grotesque.
Absolutely. That's the word I was
We could get like a
say.
Samurai Pizza Cats version of that. Where they look sort of a bit too real.
I'm seeing James Corden in the musical Cats.
Oh God! Yeah.
So if we can get Jimmy Boy in there in some way, that'll ruin it. So don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that is what it would be.
But get him back in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get on, I guess, Etsy or Redbubble. Get your bootleg Samurai Pizza Cats t-shirts.
Oh, yes.
Start getting the word out in public. Go grassroots with it.
I mean, I'm hoping Caribbean Gardens, which I believe does not exist anymore.
Nope.
I'm hoping the market there has some bootleg.
Oh yeah,
Samurai
a few
Pizza
VCDs.
Yeah.
Complete series. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, speaking of grassroots campaigns,
Okay.
Steam Next Fest is on at the moment.
Oh yeah, I love this. It's like every 6 months, I think.
Yeah, I've sort of forgotten that it's on in the past,
right?
And not gotten around to it. But I went through last night, and
you got to get your camping passes very early.
Yes,
for the Steam Next Fest.
Yes, I was there when gates opened.
Yes.
And it is. I mean, it is so satisfying.
Yeah.
Just scrolling through this list, and everything's free. And a lot of them are, they're fairly small file sizes. So you're scrolling through, you just click and download, and then you've got, half a dozen just games there.
A little tasting platter.
Ready to play within about half an hour.
Yeah, and for Australian internet standards, a small file size, it has to be like under 10 megabytes.
Yes.
So otherwise we're there for days.
And it's still taking a few hours to download that.
Yeah. Well, you're loading up a photo of Pam Anderson, and that also is just...
It's going line by line.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we need the Caribbean Gardens.
Yes.
Because it takes too long to download this stuff.
It's faster to fucking drive there.
It's faster to drive out there and
get
a bootleg DVD and drive back than it is to just wait for the download.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really tough being a video games journalist in Australia.
It really is. Yeah,
it's probably the hardest,
very time consuming,
hardest job in the country, I think.
Second to mother.
Yeah, and we do send a big "we love you" out to all the mothers listening and watching, especially on YouTube.
Yep.
We love you, mothers.
We love you, mothers. So yeah, Steam Next Fest.
Yeah.
I've been playing a few little games on there. One that I've been really enjoying is called Ruffy and the Riverside.
Okay, now this sounds like a Tommy Dassolo game.
Yeah, and it looks like a Tommy Dassolo game too.
Okay.
As something that was said to me by the great Ben Vanel when I sent him the trailer and said I've been playing this. It's a 3D platformer, but all the characters are done in that kind of Paper Mario sort of style.
Yeah,
where they're sort of like flat illustrations, and when you like turn around, it just goes to like a different drawing. I don't know how you
a
describe
different
that.
flat plane.
Yeah. But it all looks pretty seamless, and you're kind of solving all these environmental puzzles. You're a little raccoon guy, and the main hook of it is that you've got this ability to absorb textures from one area and then plant them on another area.
Right.
So like in the tutorial early on, you're sort of like stranded down the bottom of this waterfall, and what you have to do is like absorb the texture of the leaves in the tree and then plant them onto the waterfall and then that makes you a vine that you can climb up the waterfall with.
Very smart.
So it's a lot of stuff like that. There'll be like, bricks that you can't get through. So there might be like a wooden bridge nearby, and you absorb the wood from the bridge, and then you turn the blocks into wood so you can smash them with your little tailed smash attack.
Nice.
You might be surrounded by water and you absorb, the sand, turns it into quicksand, which still you sink in. So then you've got to look for, a rock or wood or, lots of little kind of neat things like that.
Right.
And then just, little puzzles that you'll have to solve that, it only gives you, it's demo. So it just gives you the beginning little slice of the game. None of them too complex to start with. I don't think this has a solid release date yet.
Okay.
Actually, I can't remember. One of these I read, it was like April or something. I can't remember if that was this or not, but certainly this year, and it does look fairly far along. So hopefully not too long until it's out. But it'll be interesting to see how much the puzzles kind of ramp up the difficulty level. Yeah. And you're doing these little sort of Mario 64 style. The levels aren't huge, and you're getting little, I forget what the exact thing is, the equivalent of little stars in each level for solving these various puzzles. There's a certain number of them in each one, and then there's a little door that you need 10 of them to open for the next level.
A classic mechanic.
With an overworld that you're going around and unlocking things in as well. It's got a cool vibe to it. Love the art style.
How's the music?
Music's fun.
Nice. Some
great tunes in it. Looking forward to playing more of this game. It's really cool.
That name again?
Ruffy and the Riverside.
Very nice.
Then another game I've been playing is a demo of a game called Dunescape.
Okay,
this is another one I sent to you.
Yeah. Yes. This looked interesting.
Yeah, this is like a kind of sort of sable-looking sort of thing, sort of cel-shaded desert. You're in this little village, and these kind of big, like, walking sort of monolith things sort of start attacking your village. And you can play it in co-op. It's like isometric, hack and slash sort of gameplay where you're able to then, ride around on these big walking around things. And, it's got, again, a cool tone to it. I haven't played that much of this one. Yeah. This definitely felt like one where I'm like, I rather would just wait to go in on the whole thing. Yeah,
and I've seen a bit of chat about this sort of generally as well. I think people are drawn in by because it's like that Hades sort of style as well, but with a little bit of a different flavor. It looks great. Yeah,
it looks fun, and certainly being able to play it co-op, it seems like a good one for that. But the whole it's like the sort of style of it is something that we've seen a lot, but this mechanic of these giant things that are walking around that you can ride around on, and them sort of influencing the environment and everything seems like it gives it that interesting edge, and it looks great. The style is, really, really well done. So that's called Dunescape.
Right.
And then the third one I've been playing is a game called Demon Tides, which is, I think, a follow-on from a game called, I think, Demon Turf, that has a slightly different style to it that I think was pretty popular in maybe the speedrunning community.
Oh, sure.
But this is a 3D platformer where you're a little demon on a boat that you've set off to find this guy and take him down, and your boat gets sort of, you get shipwrecked, and it's very like lot of like more about the platforming than the puzzle solving, and about traversal, and you've got a bunch of different moves where you can like do different aerial stuff and wall running, and you can turn into a little snake and like zip around really quickly in the water. So it's really about the traversal mechanics and being like quite precise with your platforming.
Okay.
But again, it's got like a really cool sort of cel-shaded anime sort of style to it that looks cool. Interesting characters, very cartoony, cool music. I really liked how it felt to play. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more of this one as well.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And one of those has a release date.
I don't even know if it has a formal date other than just April.
Okay.
But yeah, these are all coming soon at some point this year.
And they're all free to play on Steam. They're all free.
Now. The demos are on Steam right now. Yeah, they all feel fairly far along. Like none of them feel like janky kind of early access. Like they do all feel like they're using Next Fest as like a bit of a generate interest, and they're just doing polishing at the moment and ready to come out in the next couple of months.
Yeah, nice.
Which I think is generally the case with Next Fest stuff. I think early access stuff tends to just go up when it,
I feel like I've come across a few things that are still in early access. I think Foundation, the city builder I've been playing, was on Next Fest, but then I think was also in early access at the time.
Right.
So there's a bit of that of like either you can play this demo and we'll be launching in like 2 months, or play this demo because now you can drop $30 on this game and keep playing it if you want in like a half-built kind of format.
Sure.
I did have a scroll of Next Fest. I think maybe just because of my algorithm, I'm seeing a lot of like card battlers and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I feel like really has to stand out when you've got, such huge impactful ones that already exist and I'm kind of like pot committed to.
Yeah.
But I'm going to dive in. I think what's the date today? It concludes on March 3rd.
So that's Monday? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I'll have a big sesh over the weekend.
Yeah, it's cool. You're right though. Steam with its recommendations, it is annoying that you can't get like a unit, like especially if you split your gaming across multiple consoles.
Yes.
You can't have like a unified algorithm that's just like,
hey,
here's everything that you're into and some recommendations based on that.
Yes.
You're totally right. If it tends to be like you only really get one type of game on Steam, that's kind of all you get served up.
Well, that's it. A lot of the recommendations were city builders, deck building games. Whereas, on PlayStation 5, I pretty much only play third-person action games.
Yeah.
It's like I wouldn't mind checking out a few of
them
for free on Steam.
Yeah. Let us know if you've discovered anything good on Next Fest, because by the time when this comes out, there'll be another few days.
Yes.
So you can get in the Discord,
please,
and let us know.
That's right.
And hey, while we're plugging the Discord, if you want access to that, you can get onto Patreon and support the show.
Yes.
Get a bonus show every week.
That's right.
Get our Discord. Get our Special Zone episode, which is going to go up later this week.
That's right. So I think the tiers are kind, which is just chuck in a couple of bucks for me, to support us, which we very much appreciate. Kind of knowledgeable, where you get the monthly mailbag episode, which also is going up this week.
Yep.
And you get ad-free episodes of the show, and that's where you get the Discord access, and we still have the Facebook group going, but most of the action's in Discord.
Yep.
And then extremely kind of knowledgeable, you get the extra show every single week, and all of those other bonuses as well, and also the Special Zone.
Yeah, monthly deep dive.
That's right.
Topic. Filthycasuals.com.au is where you can find the link to that. But yeah, if you've discovered anything good on Steam and Next Fest, let us know.
Yeah, get in the Discord, drop us an Instagram comment, however you need to.
Because you played Balatro for the first time on the Next Fest, right?
Yes, that was one of the ones where, it was like out pretty much a couple of months later, I think. Yeah.
It's that's the kind of the exciting thing about it. You scroll through, you see some of the most random ass looking shit, but you might discover something that's going to be the next big thing. The next big thing.
The Next Fest big thing.
Yeah.
That's what they should be the award for the festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, something else I've been playing this week.
Oh yeah.
Is a little game by the name of Like a Dragon pirate Yakuza in Hawaii.
Yeah,
A
and
game that a lot of people thought was an April Fool's joke when it got
yeah,
announced.
yes, up there contending for the best title of any game ever.
Yeah,
in my
best
opinion.
worst title.
Yep.
Does what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
Apart from the first bit, which is quite obtuse if you don't know what it refers to.
Yeah. And if you play this game without finishing the previous Like a Dragon game, it will spoil the ending for you.
Yeah, right.
Because I never finished Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Love it. Have dropped a good 30 plus hours into it.
Yeah.
That's only 30% of the way through.
This has made me really realize, like, I got to go. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
Even though it was like, hey, you don't need to have finished something to know that it's one of your favorite games of the year.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely got to go back and finish that off.
Yeah.
Because I actually don't know how long this one is. I know it's going to be shorter.
It's like 15 hours or something.
Okay,
I
great.
think. Yeah.
Great. Let me check in with the good folks at how long to beat.
Because we've been playing it, we've been gabbing about it back and forth, and I think one thing that we've both been really surprised by and impressed by is how vastly different it is from the previous game in the series.
Yeah.
Pretty much different from any of the previous games, save for there is the real-time beat-em-up combat.
Yeah.
And I guess the visuals, the character models and stuff.
I think that, like, I was not, like, I don't know, I was looking forward to this, but I wasn't, like, super excited for it.
Right.
Just because having played the other, like, I guess you'd call them spin-off side ones that have come out
Right.
in the last couple of years.
The Man Who Erased His Name.
The Man Who Erased His Name, and the other one that's
Ishin?
like, Ishin, yeah. Enjoyed them enough, but didn't get super far into them.
Mm-hmm.
I do prefer the turn-based combat.
I think because I had played, Yakuza 0 and Yakuza 6 and really loved, and I think almost prefer the storytelling in those because they're a bit more serious, but they're also a bit more melodramatic. Like it's not so much camp, which I feel like the Ichiban led games are. And so I'd played those, and the beat 'em up combat was like, maybe my least favorite thing about them.
Yeah.
And so I was really happy to have that refresh with
Big
7.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think feeling like I prefer the turn-based, and also from playing the Man Who Erased His Name, it being kind of just a side thing with, a different story.
Yep.
But is set in the same, same setting, same city. So I really thought that what this was going to be was just you're running around the same map from Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth.
Yeah, right.
Dressed as a pirate doing the real-time combat. And
Right,
that would
okay.
appeal to people who, like, it feels like they are still putting these side ones out with the real-time combat to sort of satiate the, like, really old school fans of it.
Yep.
But it's it's so much more than that.
Yeah, I think because we had Dondoko Island, and like I played a lot of the Candy Shop game in the previous one.
Yep.
I was like, look, they can take a wild swing and do a very different set of cool mechanics, as it were. And I didn't have any sort of expectations on how it would be. I did just kind of think it'd be something different and maybe a bit disposable. And
same.
It's not. I mean, it is very different. I don't think it's disposable at all. I fucking love it.
And this is crazy when it's got a silly name.
Yes.
It's a very silly concept.
Yes.
It is a spin-off. It is the way I don't feel like it's disparaging to say this, because this is kind of how they've positioned it.
Yeah.
It is a side thing.
Yes.
But it's like, as them doing a different weird swing, like what, a year after Infinite Wealth came out?
Was Infinite 18 months maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No,
Was it last year?
it was last year, yeah.
Well,
It was
then
the start of last year.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like they've made this one of, I think, the best pirate games that's ever been made.
Man,
which is crazy because that's not the thing that they do.
They do the opposite of pirates. They do ninjas. I love pirates. I've always I love Samurai Pizza Cats. I love pirates.
Yep.
I had a pirates book that at the back it taught you how to make a deserted treasure island out of dough.
Yep.
Or like
you were one of those cool guys in like 2007 who imported the Pirates porno DVD
That's
that was
right.
like $90 or something absurd like that.
I celebrate Speak Like a Pirate Day every Yaaaarrr. But no, I've been quite, and I talked about on our I think it was my special zone about Sid Meier.
Oh yeah,
Pirates was one of his early games that got remade like still 15 years ago, current day. Like it's quite that the remake is quite old, but I fucking loved it.
Yeah,
it was a really good. It was a simulation of the whole experience. There was a bit of like weird sort of reflex based like rock paper scissors combat. There was trading. There was fucking sailing around and shooting people. And then there was Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which is probably the most similar to this game.
Yep.
An open world game where you can run around and fight people in real time combat, but you also have a ship and you can blow people up.
Yep.
But this is that, but way more fun, way more character and personality, and I think even more diversity in what you're doing and interacting with the world.
Yeah. So let's kind of go beat by beat, like what happens in the first couple of hours in terms of, because it does, it's classic one of these games. A lot of cutscenes at the start.
Yes.
Does take a little while to get going, and it is kind of showing you all these like little different mechanics, kind of very incrementally.
Yes.
But even just like the justification for how they manage to take you from this world that they've established over these games and justify a complete stylistic shift.
Yeah.
Is pretty impressive.
It's impressive and funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are Goro.
Yes.
No.
Majima?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is a long-running character from the previous Yakuza games. He, like many of the great JRPG characters, washes up on a beach with amnesia.
It's perfect. It really is. I do love, because that's clearly that's a knowing trope that they've used. Like,
well, what's also funny about it too is, remember the trailer where they announced Infinite Wealth? They showed Ichiban kind of washing up on a beach.
yes, and then doing the Austin Powers thing.
Yeah, and it sort of seemed as if like that's how he ended up in Hawaii. But
Right.
that's just like he gets what happened. That's like later in the game.
Yeah. He just goes over there because his mum's there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that scene does take place in the game. That's from the trailer.
Yeah.
But the trailer kind of just makes it look like that's how he winds up in Hawaii.
Right.
So it's then very funny to do this where it's like this literally is how he ends up in Hawaii.
Yes.
He washes up on this little island, meets this little kid.
Yep.
This island is besieged by pirates.
Yeah.
The main one of whom is called Keith.
Yes.
Who is frequently showing up and fighting you.
Yeah. He's kind of is it Gary from Pokemon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're sort of introduced to the real-time combat, which is just very classic beat 'em up style.
Yep. Bit of aerial, bit of juggling.
Yep.
But mostly, just like square, triangle.
Yeah. Weak attack, strong attack.
Yeah. It is kind of, there's some annoying bits about the combat. Like L1 is block, which is fine, but then to dodge you have to hold R1.
That's my biggest. That's always been with all of these, because I played a bit of Zero,
Right?
And then Ishin and man who erased his name. It's and I know that the people who have played through all of them, obviously they can't really. They're really locked in.
Yeah.
People like what they like about these games, and they can't. Yeah, but not having one dedicated button for the dodge.
Yeah.
It drives me fucking insane.
Yeah.
And so often, a lot of the reasons why I'm getting my ass whooped is just it's that. It seems so weird.
Yeah.
It seems so like I don't know.
There's a dedicated jump button.
Yeah.
And then there's a dedicated
which you
grab
kind of don't
button.
need.
No, I mean I tend to just jump instead of dodging because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, that's probably gonna get me out of this.
True.
And maybe there is certainly on PC you'd be able to just configure the buttons. Maybe there's a toggle to switch.
Yeah, I wonder.
I haven't had a look, but it is quite frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess it's because that button, that trigger that you're holding, it kind of like squares you up against the person, and then you're sort of sidestepping.
Yeah.
And so if you were just doing one-on-one, that would be fine. But you're pretty early on in the game. You're in these like big groups of taking on like 20 people.
Yeah.
And so to just be locked onto one person, you can't do that. Like you just can't play it like that. So you lock on with them and then you can dodge. But then like, people are coming at you from behind and I don't know. I mean, again, I'm sure if you're like totally locked in and in the zone with these games, it feels like second nature to you by this point if you've been playing them all the way through. But yeah, that's probably my biggest issue with that side of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're kind of introduced to all of that. And then you recruit a bunch of little mates on this island. And
yes, I guess there's like a justification. Like, I think the vague justification is like, you're a Japanese guy on this island. I think we've heard about some other Japanese people on a nearby island.
Yeah, there's a nearby island. Well, he knows he's Yakuza because he's got the tattoos.
Yes,
he doesn't know anything about himself but that. And there's a thing where there were some Yakuza on another island that were disposing of toxic waste or something.
Yeah.
And there's also supposedly some treasure there or something.
Yeah.
So then there's these pirates that like dock nearby and they are...
they're not like...
Because this is the other thing. You're in Hawaii.
Yes.
But you haven't washed up in... Is it called Honolulu in the Infinite World? You haven't washed up in Honolulu. You're on this like small little island. So he's like, well, I need a boat to get out.
Yeah.
There's this little port of pirates. Mm-hmm. What if I go down there and fucking beat their asses and steal their ship?
Yes.
So you go down there and you end up with a ship. And this all does happen. It takes a little while, but I guess fairly quickly.
Probably at first hour and a half.
Yeah.
I think this all happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, as with all these games, it takes a while, but everything that's happening is like really fun, really colourful, really silly. It's not really a chore to watch.
No.
Most of the cutscenes you can you're skipping through can skip through the lines of dialogue as you at whatever speed you want.
Yeah.
So then you've got your ship, and again, it takes you on a bit of an introductory, just kind of going around the seas nearby. And when you're sailing between destinations, you have these little like blue rings in the ocean, which you can sail through, which is sort of like guiding you to a destination.
And a little booster, like a little Mario Kart boost.
It's very arcadey.
Yeah. Yes.
You're also picking up, like you're kind of sailing over these bits of materials that you can use for crafting, which are called components.
Yes.
Which you'll get a little notification. Picked up regular components.
Yeah. I ran into a little guy who was like, look, I've got too many quality components and not enough regular components.
Oh, brother.
You want to do a trade? And I was like, yeah, dude, I got fucking heaps of components.
Fuck yeah, I'd love some quality components.
Yeah.
And so, as you're sailing around, you'll come across enemy ships, and you've got your forward-facing sort of machine gun.
Yes.
You've got your side-facing cannons, which take some time to recharge. You've got like a dash move that you can do to like drift and sort of like angle yourself like around the enemy ships.
You can ram them as well.
You can ram them.
And it's so, like, it just feels so good to move around. Like, the ship's super responsive. Again, like, it's very arcadey.
It's tough because when it's done badly, it can feel very clunky and frustrating, and you've got this wide turning circle, and when you've got very, like, limited range that you can shoot, and then needing to kind of get back around to get yourself in a good position, when that's done wrong, it can just feel like you just don't have control, but giving you the flexibility to do a pretty sharp turn if you use the drift and the dash is such a good move. Yeah.
And like early on, a lot of these ships, like I never had any trouble with them. They're very much cannon fodder, and they kind of when you sort of get within a radius of them, all of your boosting hoops and stuff disappear.
Yep.
But then, you pick up a bunch of gold when you beat them, and then you head back onto your course. And each sort of area of the sea is sort of. So far, it's kind of been like at the south, there'll be a lighthouse. In the middle, there'll be a lighthouse. In the top. And they're basically like save points and checkpoints where you can hit the menu and reconfigure your crew.
And they're fast travel points too.
Yes.
So like you might get to a point and it's like, oh, where we are going now is in this other sea.
Yeah.
And that's just unlocked automatically. And so you start from like a starting point of that area. And in that area, there's multiple other just like random little islands to
Yes.
go to get treasure that are just these kind of like pretty straightforward, basically just like a tunnel with a bunch of different enemies where there's a big treasure at the end.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you land on the beach, there's 10 guys. You walk up a path, there's 10 guys.
Yep.
You hit a cave, there's 10 more and a little treasure.
And a bear.
And a bear, yeah.
You fight a bear pretty early
Yes.
on. And also when you're sailing around, so you're controlling just the ship from a third-person view. You can also switch and go into deck mode.
Yeah.
Where then you're running around the deck and you're talking to your little... So you're staffing the boat with crew and you're unlocking different people as it goes along. So you're able to bring these people with you onto the islands for combat.
Yep.
And also position them on the boat, all manning different cannons. And, different people have different recharge rates with the cannons and different abilities that they bring to the ship. And if you go onto one of those islands and you lose, you don't make it to the end, you go back to the ship and the crew morale is just beaten down. So then you have to like manage that by either like winning some more battles or...
You can buy them bouquets of flowers.
Yes, when you go on to... You can see a little classic sort of little indicator above them of what their mood is. So you've got to manage all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, you've got this real, crew management, tight combat, and just the exploration. Like once it unlocks and sort of starts to... not hold your hand as much and just kind of let you go for it in the ocean. It's like, it's so satisfying, that sense of like, oh, now we're going off over here.
Yeah.
And then eventually you come across a place called Madlantis, which is it started as like a ship that was like abandoned, and then a bunch of other ships kind of got abandoned there, and now it's like this kind of... It's very similar. I think they do this a bit in the side games, because there was a version of this in The Man Who Erased His Name, sort of like the casino in that. It's like a It's like a hub where it's got like a coliseum and a bunch of mini game stuff. The cannon swinging mini game is awesome.
Oh yeah,
I found that really fun.
Yep.
And it's this weird little, again, tonally just so strange.
Yes.
But all of this works. Like you being an ex-Yakuza who's now just, with barely any provocation, decides, I'm a pirate now.
I'm a pirate.
Yeah.
The justification for why there are pirates and they're dressing like, 1600s privateers is very funny as well.
Because when he's running around, when you unlock the ship, before that you're just like... basically in your underpants.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you beat this guy and steal his ship and also go, no, I'm just going to take his clothes as well.
Yeah. I've got a big tricorn hat with a feather in it.
Yep.
But then it has all the other sort of Yakuza stuff of like character customization and leveling up and like buying a fucking Hawaiian shirt at the shops.
Yep.
All of the, potions and refills and stuff. It's still all, onigiri and little vitamin drinks.
Yeah, all of that. All of the like presentation and the sound effects is all like really familiar.
Yep.
And they just do all your little side characters. You got your little kid mate.
Yep.
You got his alcoholic dad.
Yes.
You've got the chef from the old ship who's like this big fat guy holding a big meat cleaver.
Oh, so good.
It's
the tiger.
You got a little tiger.
Yeah.
That the kid seems to think is a cat.
Yes.
It's the mechanic of sailing around, which is like, I felt like the other side ones I've played of these, it was just very much like maybe a couple of different little things in the combat.
Yeah.
But by and large, running around the same environments, doing a lot of the Yakuza shit, to just put this whole new mechanic in there, and it be so satisfying, and something that is from a completely different genre, that outshines so many of the other examples in that genre. It's really impressive.
It's fantastic, and I don't know if I said, but I do think this is the best pirate themed game I've played. It's so fun, but it doesn't, substitute or remove any of the sort of crew management and the upgrading of the ship and the sort of minutiae of like, well, what's my cool pirate ship going to look like and how's it going to
and you've got all your little boys on there who like when you win a battle on the seas and it brings up the like everyone's kind of gets some XP and people's levels go up. It's like it's really satisfying. Like it's and you know it is sort of a follow on from Infinite Wealth and of course the series like it's got a guy in it who's been in a ton of them, but you could pick this up as just a standalone pirate game and like it's pretty self-contained in the sense that like he has amnesia and he's learning things about. I mean, I haven't played all of the other games, but you sort of get it. It's like I'm sure there's stuff in there that is satisfying if you're a long-time fan, but it is just basically he's on this quest. He at a certain point you run into a bunch of the old Yakuza guys who all kind of know him. Yep. And he's a bit like they're like, "Oh, well, come back to Japan with us." And he's like, "But I'm a pirate now." He's the anti-Seinfeld. He's loving wearing the puffy shirt. I'm happy being a pirate.
There are I think I'm maybe 3.5 hours in now. The bits where you just go to a normal city and run around do not feel anywhere near as good because you've just come off fucking sailing a pirate ship around. Yeah. And so there's a bit of that sort of like busy work of like, I've got to run over here.
I mean, it is, again, this is just kind of what these games do, I guess. So it's not even like it's necessarily a negative, but it is a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
Even just like there's a bit where you take on a whole bunch of guys and then you get kind of taken to this area where you kind of get told who you are and everything. And a big cutscene happens. And then it's like, anyway, let's take you back to the boat. And then as you're leaving, it's like, hey, those guys that you beat before want a rematch. Yeah. It is just a lot of like different ways of you getting into different fights every 10 steps that you take.
Yeah. And like in the previous games, running around a city was fine. I loved it. That mechanic of, run down the street. I've got this quest marker over here. But there's going to be 5 groups of guys I've got to beat up on the street and get some items and check out this fun mini. Like, that all is there, and it is still as good as it has been before. But it's only suffering in comparison to a really, really, really fun pirate game.
Yeah, I'm excited to get deeper into it. It's really good. I was like... keen to play it, but I hadn't really been engaging with any of the like preview stuff because, I just really did think it was going to be another side thing that was like a little inessential and like I'm wondering, like, maybe you can speak to this, like where you're at in it. Do you eventually get into that Honolulu map from Infinite Wealth?
Yeah, I think it's the same map. You definitely go to Honolulu and run around.
Right.
It must. Oh yeah, it is because like. Yes, there are certain landmarks that you specifically revisit.
Yeah, okay, cool. So it's that and then the islands around. And,
I think the sort of cities are going to be mostly where you recruit crew.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Because it still has that mechanic where you are waving to everyone and so people can sort of become friends with you.
Yeah.
So that I think all builds into, the ability to build up the crew and customize it and find certain people with, specific characteristics and stuff.
Right.
I think it's a bit of a mix, but ultimately that seems like it's only there to increase the sort of fun and complexity of being a pirate.
Right.
Which is great.
I don't know how these pricks do it. I don't know how they churn out games at this clip. I know they're reusing a lot of assets, but still.
Just the idea, having the idea and being like, okay, so there is a lot we'll have to build from scratch.
Yeah.
But they're just they're prodigies over there. They're so good at what they do.
You know what we never talked about, I don't think, was that that Yakuza series kind of came and went. And was apparently not very good, which is really disappointing because I was looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah.
But hey, there'll be more game to screen adaptations coming soon. There's that Until Dawn movie.
Oh, yeah.
And more.
And I'm sure there'll be maybe another 3 Yakuza games released this year that we don't even know about yet.
Absolutely.
So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do us for another week here on Filthy Casuals. If you do want to sign up for the Patreon and get the special zone, I'm gonna give you a bit of a rundown of the backstory of
Yes.
of Kiryu from the main series.
Yep, thematically appropriate special zone this week.
Yep.
That is on the extremely kind and knowledgeable tier. Patreon.com/filthycasualspod for that, and a whole bunch of other fun little rewards that we do. Yeah.
Well, get on there. Check all that stuff out. Thank you very much for joining us. We will see you next time. And as we say here at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals, I am a pirate podcaster in Melbourne.
Very nice. Yeah.
Thank you.